Okay, might look a little crazy, but I just went for a walk, moving around here. Just went for a walk to release some stress that I had about the EEOC. Nothing new, right? Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. But I just learned some news. I mean, I always knew that they were a failed enforcer of civil rights laws. That's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I always knew that they were a failed enforcer of civil rights laws. But I didn't realize until recently that they were so complicit in trying to bury viable federal cases. Cases that civil servants bring to address discrimination and cases that job applicants bring against the federal government. I just had no idea how complicit they were. And what do I mean by that? Well, it takes forever almost to see. It's hard to prove when a federal agency discriminates. You'd have to see the system. It's different from when a non-federal, state, local government, or private sector files a complaint. Total different process. We have to take our complaints to the agency, a federal agency. And then, should we decide we want a hearing, we have to go to the EEOC, another federal agency. And how often do you think that they rule against another federal agency? One agency ruling against another? It doesn't happen very often. In fact, maybe about 95, 96% of the time. Anyway, fast forward. I've always known that. But what I found most perplexing was the fact that when an employee does get a settlement agreement, when the agency decides to come to the table to settle a employee's complaint or job applicant's complaint, and they do this settlement agreement, should they later breach the settlement agreement, the employee or the complainant has to first approach the director of that said agency, right? And let them know, hey, you breached the settlement agreement, and give them so many days to fix it. And if they don't fix it within so many days, then the employee, applicant, complainant, whatever you want to call, has to take it to no other than the EEOC's Office of Federal Operations, OFO, headed by the director, Carlton Haddon, who's been there for over 20 plus years, and enough said by that. Don't want to get into libel, slander, anything like that. But enough said about that. But should the complainant takes it to OFO, and OFO rules against the employee and say, hey, there's no breach, the agency did what they said they're going to do, then the OFO says that the employee can then, I'm holding the phone, can what? Can take it into court, U.S. District Court. Now, OFO knows full well, they set up these regulations saying, go to court, right? And they give you 90 days to file civil action in the United States District Court, knowing full well that's not where you're supposed to take your complaint. They set you up to fail. They take you to the U.S. District Court, and then that judge will tell you, we have no jurisdiction here. They'll dismiss your case. They'll dismiss your case. This is pretty raw video. Anyway, they'll dismiss your case. I don't want to do it anymore. And when they dismiss your case, hey, you figure it's over. But I recently found that a colleague who had the similar problem, her lawyer was swift and took it to the Federal Claims Court. I have to look it up, and I'll post it. I have it. And but anyway, enough said on that. Fast forward. I'm starting to get the sniffles out here. But I just want to let you know, if you work in the federal government, you're a job applicant, anyone working for the federal government has got a complaint, let them know that if they settle a complaint and if the agency breached the complaint, they need to challenge the EEOC when the EEOC directs them to the United States District Court, because the courts will tell you that's not the place and dismiss the complaint. So the EEOC's regulations are out of line with the courts and the